Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading. My name is Megan, and if you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by because this is my weekly Greenstalk Garden Tour and Harvest where I share the progress of everything going on with my Greenstalks while we do some harvesting. All right, friends, there is so much that I want to share with you, but before we start taking a look at all the Greenstalks, because you can see right behind me, there has been so much growth, even with just the ones that are on this deck trellis system that my husband built for me. But I do want to let you all know that I've decided to do weekly Greenstalk garden tours and harvest because there is so much that's been added to my Greenstalk garden. I think it would be best to start doing weekly garden tours. Plus, I asked all of you if you would like that, and a lot of you answered. Thank you so much for answering that question because that is ultimately what helped me decide to do weekly Greenstalk garden tours. And I'm also going to continue to do just my backyard garden tour and harvest videos because I have a lot of raised beds, a lot of bags and trellises. So once a week we'll have the Greenstalk garden tour and harvest videos as well as a backyard garden tour and harvest. By the way, friends, I do want to let you know of two videos that I recently posted. I decided this year to share all the different plum tomato varieties that I'm growing in my garden as well as slicer tomato varieties. So I did two separate videos so that you know all the different varieties that are growing in the garden this year. And then I also posted a couple weeks ago on all of the pepper varieties. I'm saying varieties a lot, but I don't know how else to say it. So I figured it would help out because as I'm doing these garden tours and now Greenstalk garden tours on a weekly basis, when I share a tomato or a pepper, you can reference to that video if you need to, because I did put pictures and names up as I showed them in my garden. Now we need to get going because there is so much that I have to share with you. I'm actually really almost relieved that I'm doing weekly Greenstalk garden tour and harvest because I felt like every other week wasn't enough to show you everything. So let's just get started. I did want to quickly show this to you. I have shared my cart before as far as how I organize it, but when I'm coming out here and I need to trellis things or I need to prune or I need to plant something or do anything, instead of me going all the way over to my garage to get everything, I like to put it in this wagon and just bring everything up. You can see I organized all of my tags. This is actually from the Dollar Tree. I think this was part of their school supply stuff one year. And then I have some of my bamboo sticks here. I believe this is the 18-inch one, and then I have all my clips. I even have a tarp because I've had it rain out here and I brought my little container of seeds, and in case it starts raining I can just take that and put it over. You can see I have my little Greenstalk trellises, so it's like I come up here all ready to go and clip or trellis anything or write a tag, plant something. I have the bags to put over the grapes or any fruit, and I am just ready to go. So I just thought I'd share this with you because doing something like this just makes my life a lot easier. And there's what's under the towels. I have my pruners, my knife, my clips, all ready to go. And my knife just in case we encounter any snakes. We are going to start over on this end. I will show you a little bit of the onions over there because I will be harvesting the onions. I want to say probably within the next week or two, give or take. We're going to harvest all the onions out of the Greenstalks, this one as well as the 4 on the driveway, and we're going to be harvesting them out of all the grow bags because I actually have some in those grow bags too, and I believe they're all out of the, oh no, I have 2 raised beds that we need to harvest onions too. Friends, look at this Greenstalk. Do you remember last time? Look at how much this has grown. I've had to come out here and you can see I've trellised it with some bamboo sticks. I've also put Greenstalks trellis in here, but everything is growing so good. So everything that's in here is pretty much basil, tomatoes, peppers, and then I do have a couple of sunflowers. So I kept the top super simple. I put 2 dwarf sunflowers, and then these are all dwarf sized tomato plants on the very top tier. And then these 2 bottom tiers is all peppers, and they are determinate tomatoes, like bushing type. However, they are a little bit taller than say the dwarf sized tomato plants, but they're not supposed to get too big. We'll see. Some of these varieties are new for me this year. I want to say I'm trying out the Purple Rain and the Rio Grande, which is right here. So supposedly Rio Grande and the Purple Rain are supposed to be determinate, almost bushing like, so we'll just have to see how that goes. So we already have some more orange hat tomatoes, and I'm telling you friends, I think I'm starting to like the orange hat tomato because I'm getting tomatoes quicker than I am the Tiny Tim. I like Tiny Tim. I think they do really good in the Greenstalk. However, this one's producing very quickly. So I think Orange Hat is definitely going to be my top favorite tomatoes to grow in the Greenstalks. But let's go ahead and harvest some. Look at how beautiful those are. And I'll tell you, majority, pretty much all I would say, of my Orange Hat has so many little flower buds on there. So I have a feeling we're going to be harvesting a lot of little tomatoes. Let's take a peek at these onions. By the way, I know this is not a backyard garden tour, but look at friends, I put a new trellis in the bags to try out. I'm super excited about it. I bought a 2-pack. They seem incredibly sturdy. So I'll be sharing this more on the backyard garden tour. Friends, this is really exciting for me. You wanna know why this is exciting for me? Because these onions were planted way later than the ones on the driveway, and these are looking really good. Let me show you. So this one is bulbing up nicely. That one is bulbing up really nicely. And here's another one. And here's the thing about growing onions in the Greenstalks for me, is that I love growing all different sizes of onions in my garden. And what I've noticed about the Greenstalk is that typically the top tier does produce the largest bulbs. However, I've also seen some really good sized bulbs throughout the other tiers in the Greenstalk, but I really like that they grow from large, medium to small in the Greenstalk, which is why it is my favorite way to grow onions in the Greenstalk, because of how they produce different sizes. And not all pockets produce onions. I will say that sometimes they don't even do very well, but because I plant them throughout the entire Greenstalk and throughout my garden, I always end up harvesting just enough onions for pretty much the whole year. And I do have my blueberry and terracotta over here that had the garlic. I'm still not sure what I'm going to be doing with those. I may end up putting some bushing green beans in there. And if I do end up growing anything, it will more than likely be green beans. Friends, I mean, look at this. I had to come out here the other day and prune because some of my tomato plants were actually bent over. Thank goodness they didn't break because I didn't get out here in time. But when I tell you this trellis is wild, I cannot wait to show you. So, and we also have some cucumbers and we have a pepper to harvest already. Plus we finally got the trellis stabilized between these two. I can't wait to show that to you. It is so fun. I do want to quickly point out what I use to trellis my tomatoes. Now I did do a thorough video on how I trellis my Greenstalks. I will also leave that down below if you want to see it. But most of what I used are my 3-foot bamboo sticks or my 4-footers. And then the pepper plants, I use a lot of the 18-inch bamboo sticks. And look at that sunflower, friends. So this is the Haas Sun Gold Dwarf Sunflower, and this actually might be my new favorite, just like the teddy bear, because here's what I've noticed about these sunflowers. They're producing side shoots. I'll show you on the other side. There's one that actually has a couple, and they're just gorgeous looking. I'm so happy that I bought this seed this year. Now, there aren't any tomatoes to harvest. You can see a lot of the flower buds right there. I planted quite a bit of the Italian Roma bush tomatoes in hopes that they'll trellis on the middle trellis over here, as well as some of the bamboo sticks that I put in the pocket. But I think in the weeks to come, we're going to be harvesting quite a bit of tomatoes here. Now this tier right here, I actually put all snacking cucumbers, except I think I might have put one Haasinator cucumber because one of the starts died. But we do have a cucumber to harvest, which is kind of funny to me that it's this thick around. Usually when they're shaped like this, I think it's because it wasn't pollinated all the way. Usually I thought snacking cucumbers were a lot skinnier and smaller, but either way, I'm excited. So let's go ahead and harvest our first cucumber. All right, I stepped on top of the deck. I'm trying to give you a little bit of an aerial view of everything. Friends, look at how beautiful all of this looks. And these sunflowers, I mean, seriously, look at how gorgeous that is. Look at how pretty that is. So stunning. Look at how high the cucumber plants got. I'm telling you, I am really excited about having the Greenstalks on this new little deck that my husband built. It is so cool to watch all of this grow. I did want to quickly show you. So do you see how that tomato plant is coming out of the second tier, out of this pocket? I used a bamboo stick to give it a little bit of support at the base. My camera doesn't want to focus on that. And what I did was I took the tomato plant and then I clipped it to this trellis. And my hope is that it'll just either climb over or get support from this trellis, and then I can harvest tomatoes right here. Here's another angle of all the green stalks on here. I think this was such a great idea. I do want to point out real quickly though, I did come out here and pruned a lot of the tomato plants. So what I like to do is have I don't know, maybe like a foot of no leaves or anything like that. See, you see how this one is touching this plant right here? Because it's so humid here, I'll just take this right off. And what I like to do is keep 2 main leaders that are producing tomatoes. That's the way I like to prune my tomatoes. I don't always take off the leaves that are growing out of the armpits, because as I've experienced growing in my own garden, I've learned to not take everything off. It's interesting to me because when I first started learning how to garden, of course, I went to YouTube and I watched a lot of videos. And while I do think pruning is super important, especially depending on the climate that you live in, and being that I'm in a very humid area, it is so good to keep things pruned. But I have learned in observing my garden that I don't like to prune everything. And I've noticed that letting the tomato plant kind of do its thing while keeping it pruned enough for airflow, because of my climate, that I have gotten so many tomatoes doing that. And so that's just what I do in my garden. By the way, friends, we have our first pepper to harvest. I'm so excited. So it is really small and it kind of grew a little funky, but it's the Purple Beauty. And I am so excited to harvest this. Definitely small, but I don't think it was going to get any larger. It's a little green right here. So I'm just going to eat this, and then hopefully by harvesting this, the plant will give more energy to the other blossoms so that we can harvest some more. All right, look at the middle of this trellis. I mean, it's only going to be a matter of time when every week when we come and take a look at this and do some harvesting, that this entire thing is going to be filled and full. We have got cucumbers everywhere. I can see a lot of cucumbers, little baby ones everywhere. Oh, I didn't even see those. Sometimes when I come out here and I film, I'm seeing it for the first time with you guys because there's just too much to keep up with back here. And I'm still actually planting a little bit here and there, so I don't always get a chance to see everything. Those right there are the straight 8 cucumbers. Those actually do really good for me. But friends, that's the one we're going to harvest together. I'm very excited. That's actually a snacking cucumber. And I'm like, this does not look like a snacking cucumber. This looks like a regular sized cucumber, which is crazy to me. We do have one to harvest over here. It's one of those oblong ones again. What's funny is this is actually the Armenian yard long, and they're not supposed to look like this, so I don't know. We're just gonna harvest it. Usually when I harvest the cucumbers this size, they still taste good, and that's all that matters to me. By the way, I don't want to forget, these 2 peppers are still doing good. This is the Yellow Monster. It definitely needs a little bit more time. And then I believe that one is the Chocolate Beauty, so that definitely needs a little bit more time too. I did want to quickly show you some of the things that are growing at the ends here, because I did put some loofah plants in this bag, but I also put them in the bottom of that tier. So we have loofah plants right here, and they're already climbing up the trellis, as well as the ones that are in the bags here. Friends, look at that pink beauty amaranth. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that pink. Here's a better look at the pink fuchsia color. Isn't that gorgeous? So this acts as a companion plant, but you could also eat these leaves like a spinach leaf, which is perfect for summertime because it's hard to grow spinach and lettuce in the summer. So this was kind of a 2-for-1 for me, because not only does it act as a companion plant, but I can use those as greens. I also wanted to show you this side because I do have another variety cucumber growing out of this pocket, and then I did stick 2 different cantaloupes in here. So this one right here is a Sweet Passion, which I need to get that onto the trellis there. So we have Sweet Passion growing out of here, and then out of the grow bag we have Hale's Best. And I don't know about you friends, but sometimes when I'm out here in the garden and I'm working and I have ideas, but it's starting to get dark and I don't have time, I will leave tags out and put a reminder to make sure that I plant in here. So I put tags in the buckets because what I decided to do was to put amaranth in these buckets, and I'm using that as a companion plant around the Greenstalks, because here's what I've noticed. This beautiful amaranth that I have in the Greenstalk, the one on the driveway and even the one I'm going to show you behind behind me, there's a bunch of bite marks, which is exactly what I want because it's keeping the pest away from my other plants and it's going for the amaranth. By the way, this was the dwarf sunflower I was talking about. Look at all the different sunflower heads that are growing out of it. Isn't that fun? It is so beautiful. Look at these little cuties. I mean, this is what brings me so much joy. I love to see all this. It makes me so happy to see all of this food and beauty growing. I also have a lot of peppers down here that are growing too. None of them are ready to harvest, but hopefully soon we will be harvesting more peppers. I could probably spend the entire video talking about everything over here, but I want to show you the other two green stalks that we put that trellis in between. So let's go ahead and harvest that beautiful snacking cucumber. This is what I like about the deck, by the way, that I can stand up on here and not be on the ground. Not that I mind being on the ground, but this is nice. All right, there's our snacking cucumber. I would have done it on the other side, but I couldn't. It was too hard. Look at this beautiful cucumber. Look at that, friends. I mean, that is gorgeous. Whoop. So pretty. All right, well, there's a lot of flower buds. There's so much going on. So I'm thinking next week we'll have a lot more to harvest over here. Now I want to talk to you about these two green stalks. Look at how beautiful these are growing already. So the hubby reinforced this trellis in between. And what he did was he took a pole. I don't know exactly what he used. However, it's a pole where the bottom fit perfectly in here, and then what he did was he drilled it into the wood right here so that it would stay stable and it wouldn't move. And I'm telling you, friends, this is going to be so fun to watch because you can see, look at all the cucumbers now that are growing and the vines that are just attaching itself to the trellis. This is going to be a lot of fun watching over the summer. And see, that to me looks more like a snacking cucumber. You see that? It's a lot smaller. My camera does not want. There is so much greenery and stuff going on in the background that my camera like doesn't know what to focus on. So we have a lot of little cucumbers. And then look at those two over there. So it's a lot of fun stuff going on. I will say that most of what's in this green stalk and this one is peppers, tomatoes, and cucumbers and dwarf basil, as well as some more dwarf tomato plants on the very top. But what I did plant in here was an eggplant. So this is the Rosita eggplant, and you can see it's been bitten pretty good here. But I'm going to be planting a Rosita in probably a grow bag, and then I have one in the green stalk because I want to compare and see how they grow in here. But so far it's looking pretty good. It's looking really healthy other than the bite marks, so we'll have to see how this goes in here. Look, I found more cucumbers. Oh my gosh, friends, that's so exciting. This is fun. And here's a close-up of how I use the green stalk trellis for the tomatoes, because sometimes what they do is they curve a little bit. So I'll put this in here and then I will take one of the tomato clips and just clip it here. Now, if it gets super tall, then I will for sure stick a bamboo stick, but I will do it diagonally to clip to the tomato plants to give it some extra support. Here's a great example of what I mean with the amaranth. So this is an amaranth plant and look at how much it's been bitten. So that's what I want to see. I mean, I don't want my amaranth bitten. I would like to harvest it. However, I would rather sacrifice this plant than all of my cucumbers and peppers and tomatoes get devoured. And then here's the other green stalk. You can see all the cucumber plants are growing. Now, I will say the only other thing that I did different in here is I did plant a lot of the Hasinator cucumbers in here because I had so many extra, and because we put the trellis here, I'm like, why not? So we do have a lot of those in this tier. And I did add dill in here. I actually didn't add enough dill, I feel like, in the green stalks everywhere, but if any plants die or something goes wrong, then I'll just put some more dill. I did add a lot more dwarf basil, which I'm happy I did because these grow so good. So this is a Greek dwarf basil. I've always had a really good experience with them or growing them in the green stalk. So that is a full look at both of them. And you see the trellises in between. So I will be giving you updates on these every week. Now let's go take a look at the driveway. Before I show you all the green stalks, I do want to quickly show you, I took out the rest of the green stalks that I bought during the clearance and they are completely filled. So What I'm doing now is just waiting for the hubby to build the structures back there. But I am going to end up planting these because you know plants can't wait. So it may be that I just put these up in the backyard until the structures are built, because he does have to figure out with the way the land slopes, he has to measure the legs, and there's just a lot that goes into building those structures because of the way the land slopes. But I needed to fill these because I wanted to get them planted and out of my garage. So hopefully in the next couple weeks you will see these in the backyard. All right, so let's talk all the Greenstalks on the driveway. So first and foremost, the sweet potato plants. I mean, friends, look at how beautiful these look. I love the plant supports that Greenstalk has. I love these as well as the ones that I showed you in the backyard garden part, and I just think these are doing so good. So a lot of the sweet potatoes in here are the bushing. I finally got the Covington, friends, so I'm so happy that they're finally planted, and I cannot wait to see how the bushing does. So I have Vardaman, Covington, and then I do have store-bought as well as sweet potatoes that I harvested last year that I also made slips out of. And then these next four lovelies were from the garlic, and again, I still don't have plants for these, although you can see the Tulsi Holy Basil is growing. They're growing everywhere because, friends, ever since I put Tulsi Holy Basil in these Greenstalks, seed has fell, and they just volunteer every year. I have one right here. I have more over here. So I don't know. These might just end up being Tulsi Holy Basil Greenstalks because that's usually what happens every summer. And of course, friends, it's starting to rain, but I have to show you these onions. Look at how beautiful they are already. Look at that. I am so excited. So the goal is once I see these drop, it's time to harvest. Even though a lot of these have fallen and you can see they are ready to be harvested, I am going to wait for these last little bit. Sorry, that's the towel in the corner right there because I want to cover the camera, and it's going to be dark soon and I want to make sure I finish filming this garden tour for you guys. But once these drop, I'm going to be harvesting all the onions. That's why I'm thinking like another week or two. You can see some of these already dropped. So these two are the intermediate and those two are the short days. And these right here are the short day onions. You can see these are looking really good too. I think we're going to have a really good onion harvest. I will say I feel like the purple onions this year are doing really good because I harvested quite a bit out of my beds, my raised beds, and I'm seeing the ones in the Greenstalks and they're looking really nice. And something I do want to point out, you can see some of the pockets don't have anything and some of them look really small, like there might not even be an onion bulb, and that is okay. That's what I was referring to earlier when I was sharing the blackberry Greenstalk in the backyard, and that's okay with me because throughout this entire Greenstalk and the other ones in my backyard garden, I always end up producing, or harvesting I should say, enough onions. What I am excited to share is the shallots. So I'm not sure when I'm going to harvest these. I might actually even wait until July. I really don't know, but friends, they're looking so good in these. And I think every year I might make these two my shallot Greenstalks. This is what I'm very excited to show you because I am testing out ginger and turmeric in the Greenstalks because my grow bags, which you can see back there, they usually do amazing every year with ginger and turmeric. I love growing them in grow bags. However, I thought not only would it be fun and beautiful to see these leaves grow out of a Greenstalk, which you can see, look at how beautiful those are. But I figured if these produce the same amount of ginger and turmeric as the grow bags, then I might as well just grow them in the Greenstalks. Or what I may end up doing is growing them in both so that I can produce some in the grow bags as well as the Greenstalks. We'll have to see when I go ahead and harvest all of them towards the end of the summer, beginning fall. And then here is the perennial tower where I have a lot of herbs, my mint on top, my yarrow, marshmallow, stinging nettle, and then I do have those little pepper plants. I did separate the pepper plants, so each pocket has a little tiny pepper plant in there. So hopefully we'll be harvesting a lot of those little teeny tiny ones. And then here are all of my lovely strawberries. Now I will say not only have the Japanese beetles attacked these quite a bit recently, but I do need to come over here and clean this up. It's just that I've been really busy trying to finish planting stuff in the garden. And I also have plants in the berry cups, friends, that I need to take out and put in some pockets that don't have any strawberry plants. The last two Greenstalks, we're gonna take a look at these two. Now this is my pepper tower. absolutely love this Greenstalk. Look at all the jalapenos that are growing. Look at how beautiful everything is looking. There's no peppers to harvest. There's a lot of little flowers you can see right there, but I have a feeling we're going to be harvesting quite a bit out of here too. Now, as much as I want to harvest one of those jalapenos, I'm going to leave that there for next week. Let that grow a little bit. But I think what we are going to harvest, and friends, look at, remember the cayennes? So this plant has been here since last year because this is the only Greenstalk I rolled in my garage during the winter time. And look at this, friends. Look at how beautiful this looks. So I'm gonna grab a couple of these. All right, it seems like this rain is not letting up, but I want to quickly show you this last one before I harvest a couple of things. But look, we have more dandelion and we have more Swiss chard. Don't mind the ground. We definitely need to power wash this again, but everything's growing so good on here, including the kale. And look at, friends, the fennel so far is doing kind of good. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but you know what it's doing really good is the celery. That I'm super excited about. Here's another view of the celery. Look at how beautiful that looks. I have not had the best time growing celery. I tried growing them in grow bags a couple years ago and it wasn't horrible, but this is looking a lot easier and better. Now look at this fennel. This one is looking a lot better. Look at how beautiful that is. If I could grow fennel in the Greenstalk, that would be a huge win for me, just like the celery. All right, friends, well, it is starting to rain a little bit more. It's like it wants to drizzle a little bit and then rain hard and then stop, and it just cannot make up its mind. I either like it to rain a lot so everything gets watered, or no rain at all. The drizzle is driving me nuts. But with that being said, I want to go ahead and show you the harvest before it starts pouring rain out here. All right, so I ended up putting it in this basket just because there wasn't a ton, and I wanted to make sure that I showed you everything in one shot because it's starting to rain. But we did end up getting some Swiss chard, a little bit of kale, and then I did want to show you the two dandelions. So we have the Italian dandelion with that beautiful like purple fuchsia lining in the middle, and then this one is the newer. My camera never wants to focus. We're gonna have a hard time this summer, I think, because all this stuff in the background, my camera doesn't know what to focus on. Anyways, this is the new variety that I'm growing, and it's the Amaro. I think I said it right. I'll put it up there if I didn't say it right. So the Amaro, and then we have the Italian dandelion. And friends, I've shared this before, but they do so good in the Greenstalks. And of course, we did get ourselves some more Swiss chard, which I'm glad the squirrels or chipmunks didn't get at them, so we're able to harvest a few more before the summer heat comes. And then I did just grab a couple of pieces of kale. There might be 2 or 3 more pieces in there, but I just grabbed some real quick to show you. And I believe this is either the red Russian or the scarlet kale, which are newer varieties for me, and I think these do very well too. All right, and then we got ourselves some orange hat tomatoes. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to harvest more of these, and they seem like they're going to be big producers, so I'm very happy about that. And then we got our first bell pepper. Friends, this for me right here is really exciting, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to, there we go, I'll do that. You probably look really funny right now, but that's okay. Anyways, we got our first bell pepper. It is the purple beauty. The other side's a little bit green, but that's okay. I'm gonna enjoy it anyways. And then we did get ourselves some cayenne pepper. I probably could have grabbed a couple more, but I'm gonna wait for them to turn a little bit more red. But I love the fact that this was a plant from last year. And because I overwintered it, which, you know what I forgot to show you guys? And I'll show it to you next week. The 2 brown 3-tier Greenstalks that I have right outside of my garage with the ultimate movers under them, I'm going to be planting, I'm definitely gonna plant one all peppers, and I may plant the other one all peppers too. I think I shared it on the last Greenstalk Garden Tour and Harvest, but my goal is to overwinter the peppers in there, and I picked all the plants out already. They're just waiting to be planted. I haven't done them yet. I also have a couple of onions in there that we need to harvest, but I am really excited about that because if I can overwinter some peppers, oh my goodness, would it not only be nice to have some peppers during the winter time, maybe if I could, that would be great, but to then start to be able to produce peppers sooner than waiting for peppers to produce when I start them from seed every year, that would be really great. So we're going to be trying that out, and probably by next week, they'll be planted, or the week after. So I can't wait to show those to you. And then, I mean, friends, look at this right here. Look at these cucumbers. They make me so happy. I love making cucumber sales. So what I like to do is dice up the cucumbers, dice up tomatoes. If there's bell pepper, I'll dice that up too with some feta cheese and this lemon Meyer vinaigrette. When I tell you, so delicious. Oh, and onions, you can't forget the onions. I love that salad, and it's something that I look forward to every summer. So we're gonna be making that. Now I don't have a ton of tomatoes, but it'll be enough. We'll just make it work. But isn't that exciting? Look how beautiful those are. So very happy with the harvest this week. Well, friends, I am so glad that you all stopped by. Now that we are officially in our summer season, there is going to be so much that I share with you, and I cannot wait because, friends, I really look forward to turning this camera on and sharing everything that is growing, what I'm doing, my thoughts behind things. It's just a joy for me to share all of that with you. And I also want you to know that I greatly appreciate every single one of you. And I also want you to remember this too, friends. I want you to be encouraged, stay encouraged, and I want you to always stay inspired. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.